Hi guys, my name's notsoErudite. I'm the dirty liberal on the panel today, so you guys will love me.
I like that.
Let's ask this question right off the bat. It's a heavy question. Has feminism destroyed the West? Do women have too high of expectations for men, and are they hoes? The self-avowed liberal. What say you?
What say I? I say, the two questions, are women's standards increasing? Yeah, I would say by and large women's standards are increasing as they get access to work and education. The issue is that they're not really staying single. Most of the Pew Research shows that women are dating and dating successfully. The real question that I think is actually at the heart of all of this is are people happy? Are people finding meaningful relationships? And in what ways is society hampering and harming them or benefiting them? I think those are the important questions.
Yeah, I feel
they're not having relationships.
Yeah, isn't loneliness up? Isn't loneliness up, Tim?
Oh, dude.
Yeah, I mean, I think
dating is down, loneliness is up. There was that graph that went viral that people are basically becoming neats, men and women. They're less conscientious. They're more neurotic. They're less agreeable. They're isolating themselves. I don't know if that's a product of feminism, but what I can say is right now the current system is not conducive to happy relationships between either men and women.
I actually agree. I think that the way that our society has oriented itself, where it's obsession over money and working and the betrayal of family and connection relationship is harming everyone. I don't think that this is a unique woman problem or man problem. When we're talking about the loneliness epidemic, it's mostly a male skewed issue. Right? Men, in the Pew Research, men between the ages of 18 to 25, 1% of them, I think, hadn't even dated before, whereas I think it was only 30% of young women.
Doesn't that prove Myron's point?
Sort of. I mean,
these women are dating, but the men are not. That means the women are dating all the same guys.
Well, no, they're not. Most of these women are in monogamous relationships, right? The issue is the 20-year-olds are dating men that are typically 4 to 5 years older than them. That's actually more so what we're seeing.
So let's just break it down for my misunderstanding then, because it sounds like I may be misunderstanding. What was the number? Most women have found relationships?
30% of women have dated between the ages of 18 and 25, whereas 61% of men have not dated.
Right, okay, so that's the same number, isn't it?
Sorry, I'm not understanding.
That means 30% of men have dated and 30% of women have dated.
No, 61% of men between the ages of 18 to 25 have not had a relationship.
So that means 30 of them have dated then.
So that means 30% of men have had a relationship.
Sorry, did I mess up? Did I misspeak?
You're saying both. 30% of women
have not dated.
Have not dated.
Okay, have not dated.
Sorry, yeah.
Okay, so
we get it. Sorry.
So if it's 2 to 1 men not dating but women are dating, then the women would have to be dating.
Well, between
the same
that
guys.
age,
Right.
no, that's the age bracket. 18 to 25 is one of the key things.
Right, okay, so but the point
women
is,
are dating older men.
Oh, I see.
That's what's making up the gap.
I think Myron agrees with that, right?
Yeah. I mean, the reality is, average women don't want average men. They date up. And now with, the way we have society, hypergamy is not only reinforced, but it's encouraged. Women are told to not settle. They're told to get the best man that they can get. So a lot of girls think that they qualify for something a lot of times, which they actually don't. And sometimes I have to be the reality and let them know, look, you're average. You got to be, a little bit more realistic about where you stand.
This isn't really hypergamy,
average women
though.
don't want average men.
This isn't really hypergamy, though, right? What are men typically selecting for in a relationship? Youthfulness, beauty, right? Some level of making him feel good. What are women selecting for? Stability factors. And so in this way, women are dating the pool of men that give them the stability factors, because it usually takes men a couple of years to get education and a career and something built underneath them. And men are selecting for the things that they want.
Well, it's not just stability anymore, is what I'm trying to say. It's not just stability. It's also, is the guy handsome? Is he tall? Is he charming? Is he charismatic? Since women make their own money, they're able to be a bit more selective because they don't just need the provisioning anymore. They want other things as well. Is he handsome? How does he look? Etc. So women do have a staked interest now in how a man looks and how he conveys himself as well, since they handle the provisioning part themselves. So it's made women more selective, but that's kind of come at their dismay because now it's harder to find that guy. There's a total package with everything.
Sure. The issue is that the actual problem here is that we're leaving men behind. The issue isn't that we're raising women up. It's that men are disproportionately being undereducated in school. Primary school is horrible for young boys. We're not giving them social scripts on how to exist. And we're still telling young men that their only value is the amount that they can contribute to the GDP, when in the reality is that what women are looking for is men that make them feel valuable, men that they can emotionally connect to. And so the real issue here isn't that we're raising women up, it's that we're leaving men behind, which I'm actually very interested in.
Well, I want to make this one point, though. I think men are a victim of what their surroundings, because the amount of men that have microplastics in their testicles now. Seriously, now the amount of estrogen.
You're getting some right now.
Exactly. So I'm saying, don't we think men now have higher estrogen levels than ever in recorded history?
Yeah.
So I feel like that is kind of why the men are, I guess, coming in second place if we talk about
well, there's
feminism.
It's a
multitude of
problem for
problems.
everyone. I'm only 36 and I've already had cancer.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
It's a serious thing. I
Yeah.
know, it's serious.
Yeah.
Women won the right to vote without civic responsibility. And so
They
you
shouldn't
can-
have the right to vote.
You can make the argument.
Repeal the
I think it's
19.
fine. I think it's fine to say women should have the right to vote. However, we got to look at the context in the United States, and that's women do not have an obligation to die in war that men do, but women can vote overwhelmingly for Democrats promoting these wars, and then men are left on the hook for a war they tend not to vote for. That's fucked up.
So, sure, the issue
I'm glad
is,
we're on this topic. Repeal the 19th. I was
Yeah.
going to say that earlier when she was yapping, but that's fine. Yeah, repeal the 19th.
I think only landowners should vote. Let's go back. Let's go back to pre-Civil War. Try to vote now, Myron.
I think
yeah,
we-
women shouldn't be able to vote.
I think we have two issues here, right? Number one, the vote has never actually been tied to military service. It's typically citizenship and age, are usually kind of the two main things that we've always used for voting. I would be totally fine with us having an amendment where we add women to selective service. I have no issue with that whatsoever, right? And I think equal strokes. The issue is that when it comes to voting, there are going to be topics that uniquely affect men and uniquely affect women. In this case, war does uniquely affect men right now, which might be unfair. But in the case of something like abortion and birthright control and all these sort of things, these disproportionately affect women, right? And so when we're talking about like who gets the right to vote, is it because of like certain topics uniquely affect one gender over another? That's not how we've ever tied the right to vote. It could be landowners, it could be multiple things. In America, though, we seem to mostly decide age and citizenship.
But the problem I have is that Democrats have been substantially more likely to vote for war, to promote war, particularly Ukraine. Republicans have been pressuring Trump not to be involved. His base split over the Iran issue. Millennial women are about 70% voting Democrat. So you have this phenomenon in the millennial to Gen Z younger generation where women are disproportionately voting for a war they have no responsibility in, or I should say a limited responsibility in. And it's crazy to me that half the population can vote to send the other half to die. And that's equality.
Women are stupid. Let's be honest about this. And the reason why, right, it's not just, and she said it herself, misogyny isn't something new. She's right. In ancient China, to the Middle East, to Eastern Europe, everybody knew that women are so we need to make them second-class citizens. So that's why they don't have the right to vote and do a lot of stuff. And then now
What an eloquent argument. I never could have come up with
She didn't
something
even let
that
me finish. She's
intelligent
acting like a
as
woman
a
right now.
stupid
Holy
woman.
crap. I let her speak and now she won't let me speak. So it's interesting to me how she said, oh yeah, this isn't something new. Yeah, you're right. Everyone since ancient times knew that women are we need to make them second-class citizens. And here's the craziest part. They lived in other ends of the world and they still realize the Asian dudes, ling bing ding, all the way to the fucking Mohammeds in the Middle East, to the Eastern Europeans of Slav, they all knew, damn, women are stupid. We need to go ahead and put them in the kitchen. Now they're out the kitchen, and what's going on? Society is crumbling.
Which civilization of all the ones that you listed do you like the most? Do you like modern America, or do you like Saudi Arabia, or do you like, ancient Japan? Which one do you like the most?
Well, look, I like any society that has women under control, and right now we don't, which is why shit is fucked up.
So why don't you move to Saudi Arabia? They don't have the right to vote. They can barely drive. What?
It's a great place.
Do you want Sharia law? No,
that's
Myron.
true. They can drive now. They
I'm
can
saying, do you-
drive.
like,
They
are,
can drive, and that's bad.
wait, are you? But be
so
honest.
you think that Saudi Arabia is a better country than America?
When it comes to handling women, yes. Yes, when they come
Well,
to
just
handling
overall,
women, yes.
don't change the question.
And
Don't run away
crime
from
is
it.
less in Saudi
Do you
Arabia,
think?
though.
Well, they have less crime.
You were talking about these global things about how when women are oppressed, that's been the societal trend. And so I asked you, modern America decided, along with a whole bunch of Western democracies, and I think you like Western civilization,
I do,
that
I
that's
do.
a bad idea. And so the question is, why is America so great if Saudi Arabia's got this one thing so well to, like, what? Shouldn't that be the great
Well,
country?
you could be better in different ways, right? Like
So Muslim
what I-
theocracies got it.
No,
they're
I
great.
didn't say. No, I didn't say that.
Oh.
What I'm saying is, here's the problem, right? When you have women having too much power, it creates a lot of issues because women are communitarian by nature, right? They don't know what the fuck they want to do. They can't even decide what they want to eat, let alone pick their own partners. That's why the divorce rates are through the fucking
Wait,
roof.
time out.
That's
You
why
guys admit
marriage is
it's
down in
hard
the
for women to
dumpster.
choose what to eat, though, Kat. Is that true? Can we at least
know?
agree on
Well,
that?
yes, but it also could be all this nicotine gum I'm always chewing.
Okay,
I'm never that hungry.
that is typically my girlfriend. It is hard for women to choose where to eat. I think you're 100% right about that.
Sure, but we also are like negating the fact that like some of the biggest breakthroughs in ecology science come from the humanitarian approach that women have. You know, DNA was discovered by women. So like the issue is that women are decently valuable. When we talk about women being stupid, men are stupid all the time too. Men are the like morons that are ending up in fucking jail all the time because they can't like stop
Wait,
punching
not
shit.
you made a good point. I
Hey,
think.
hold on.
Wait.
Is Frederick Meischer a woman? DNA was first identified by Swiss chemist Friedrich Meischer.
Yeah, they were trying to take
Who
credit
stole
for our
it from?
stuff. They also said they were trying to say
Wow.
Wi-Fi was made by women. No, it wasn't. It was made by men as well. Women don't invent anything. They don't contribute to anything besides. Like, to be honest, the only real value women have is reproductive
I
value.
contribute more to
We're
the
gonna be honest.
economy than you do, Myron, just objectively.
Wait. I want to say I'm on Kat and not so Erudite's side though. That don't you think women are equally valuable to society though? You don't think so?
Dude, if you remove sex and reproduction, they provide almost nothing.
Yeah, but those are
gonna be
we
honest.
wouldn't have life without those things. So don't those
But I want to
kinda
be clear
even the
about this.
playing field?
We don't need them. Like, here's the thing: women need us. We don't need them. We need them to propagate
They have our
society for the
babies,
next
dude.
generation. That's what my point. I said outside of reproduction.
Oh.
So, like, if we want to have kids, yes, we need them, but they need us for everything. So the reality is, men bring far more value to society than women do. The only real value they provide is reproductive value. Because let's be honest here. You guys don't give a fuck about what they got to say. You guys are here for us. Nobody cares about what women got to say. They're the suckiest podcasters. Female YouTubers suck. Nobody gives a fuck about their opinion. We're just there for the tits.
Isn't
Let's be honest.
one of some of the largest podcasts? Candace Owens, Call Her Daddy. Like some of the largest podcasts are
And
female run.
to be fair,
Candace Owens is an exception.
It doesn't.
Hold
It
on.
doesn't matter if you don't like them. The point is that they're highly successful. So maybe you guys don't like to listen to women, but that doesn't mean that broader society doesn't. For example, take women out of the workforce. You've nuked your economy overnight. It's done. They contribute, even if we're being mild and conservative, 30%.
Well, that'd
probably
be good.
around 50%.
That'd be good for the airline pilot industry, wouldn't it? Wouldn't that save us a lot?
I don't know. It seems like there's a lot more going on with the airline pilot industry than just women.
But women are usually taking social jobs like teachers and nurses and stuff like
Yeah,
this.
we need those jobs.
We do, but we need petroleum engineers more.
I would disagree.
I don't know
We need
about
to raise
that.
our children.
I mean,
I
we
would like
should
literate
Abolish
children.
Public schools.
Ooh, that's a hot take.
Public schools are shit.
But we should still be teaching our kids. We want our kids to be literate.
I agree. And I think
We need nurses.
women are great teachers. when it
right? Like
comes to
every
basic
one of
knowledge
you
stuff.
has been to a hospital, and you're probably super grateful that there's an entire help industry oriented at making sure that your ass doesn't die. Especially a lot of your fat asses don't die.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Oh,
I can feel the tension. I like
I
that.
was just gonna say.
Guys, wait. Real quick, though, I do want to say thank you guys for being here. Give yourselves a round of applause. Seriously. And this is our third time doing it here. And I have to say that last week was a little tense with Michael Malice, but you can feel the tension up here. I kind of like this debate, and we want to encourage you guys to all come up, whatever you guys, whether you have a question or a debate topic, it's no holds barred. Just say whatever you want to say. And we're going to do that here in a second. But Tim, I mean, I'm liking this, the energy up here. It's a little different this week.
There's an interesting split between the civics of it and the dating element of it. So you were saying that.
And the morality.
Sure. What's the morality argument?
I think that feminism is morally good.
What does that mean?
I think.
What does morally good mean?
In like a Christian Aristotelian kind of
Well,
way.
that's
Like
my question.
Western, all of our Western systems absolutely value
well,
things
let me
like
ask this question.
agency.
Real quick, just define feminism.
Sure. Feminism is, here, I always write it down so I can always cite it. Feminism, the empowerment of women's agency and the promotion of femininity.
What is femininity?
Femininity would be like the
Being
emergent
pretty.
things that we see. Nurturance, typically like empathy and kindness, all the things that we typically see in a Western society that would go, yeah, that's feminine by and large. Understanding, these sorts of things.
Things that identify as feminine as femininity?
Typically, yeah,
Basically.
yeah, but
I
like
think
what's
I agree with that
masculine?
description.
Wait, what's
Hot take.
masculinity?
I guess
The things that we
hot
kind of
take, I don't
identify
think
with
women have
men.
empathy.
Bears
Oh,
drinking
wow.
big
I don't think-
beers.
Well, it's like things like bravery
Chopping
and
lumber.
strength, right? It's things like being like protective, right? These are the things that we like see in all of our stories as masculine or feminine.
Guys, were you guys going to get your chance? Everybody shut the fuck up.
Is femininity then related to like nurturing,
Yeah,
having babies?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's good.
Hot take. I think women actually lack empathy. Contrary to them saying that they have empathy, I think women have sympathy. They can feel sorry and compassion for sure. But when it comes to empathy, especially to the masculine experience, they don't have it at all. I would argue most women don't know what men want. They don't know what men are interested in. They don't know what it takes to keep a man around, which is why most girls can't even stay in a relationship long term or get married. And let's be honest here, the reason why they're not empathetic is because there's no need to be empathetic because men approach them. Since men approach them and they do the courting and they have to do everything up front, especially at the beginning, a lot of women aren't empathetic to the masculine experience because they don't have to be. Versus men, we have to be empathetic to women, otherwise we don't get laid.
Yeah, you're
There's a
very
burden of performance
empathetic
on
to
us.
women.
No, well, here's the thing. I understand you guys, which is why I don't respect you. So that's why, because the reality is, if you understand women, there's no way you can respect them as an equal because they're inferior in almost every way.
Well, in what
what does
ways?
that mean in
I
fact?
just
in
don't
what ways?
understand why you would
Like
say
in
that.
sports.
Sure.
Yeah,
I mean, here's the thing. You can either respect them as an equal, right? Or you don't respect. Like, my thing is, I understand women. So since, therefore, I understand women, I cannot respect you guys as equals because you guys have a completely different worldview. You guys are inferior in almost everything that matters.
Like in what?
And,
Like what? Name
Yeah,
the
you
things.
keep
that
you guys
saying
are
that
weaker,
over, I'm
dumber,
stupid, blah,
smaller,
blah, blah. I'm
like
bored.
Weaker,
like-
dumber,
Yeah, literally, like
less
yeah.
fit, less strong.
well,
but
yeah,
by these
You guys are
standards,
inferior.
your co-host is inferior to you in every way because he's weaker. He doesn't
he's still
exercise
superior
as
to
much.
you.
He's
So
not as strong.
that's my point.
That's not what. Well, the issue is. Well, the
He's still
issue is.
superior to you, though.
Well, the issue is on the thing. Well, actually, not really. I think I'm actually fitter than Fresh. He's stronger than me, but I think I'm literally fitter than him. And also, when it comes to debates, I tend to do better than him in debates. So all the things that you tend to value are the things that he's inferior. The issue is. Hold on, just so it's clear.
Can you open
I
a
don't
pickle jar?
I don't think that Fresh is inferior because I don't think that only these things matter to the value of a person. When we talk about things like the Western civilization tradition, if you guys actually care about the American project and what this means, we have to get real about the things that are the precepts of what we believe in. This is things like Christian theology and Aristotelian thinking. And in these precepts, everyone assumes that there is going to be a variety of ways in which people are beneficial, but we don't typically give inferior or superior because we recognize, for example, that while Fresh is not as strong as a debater as you, he's so good at networking, he's really personable, he's really good at like connecting people, and you value that. Whereas women are strong at other things. We don't have to be equal.
Like
we
making
just need to be
sandwiches.
valuable.
But isn't there
making
like you said
Good one.
Christian?
You notice how
you
no
said
one
Christian
laughed
theology?
because that's like the oldest joke that's ever been told. Women make sandwiches. You're stupid. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, I'm bored already.
All right. Again, I'm still trying to figure out why she's talking. This is not a kitchen. I don't know what's going
There
on
it
right
is
now.
again.
You
I want
do,
to bring it back to
thankfully.
I want to bring it back to feminism because I
wanna
think
answer the question.
I think feminism is a key component in relationship breakdown. There was a story several years ago where in New York, women in their 30s could not find men who made as much or more than they did. And it was like a shock to the system. All these writers, these are female writers for various opinion outlets saying, why can't we find good men? And it's because they weren't attracted to guys who made less and they didn't want to be with younger guys. So the guys who were the same age as them, who made $50,000 a year, were like, I can date a 24-year-old woman, somebody who wants to have a family and is younger. So guys are aiming for younger women, but women are being told to get jobs and have careers. But you mentioned guys aren't stepping up. I think this creates an inverse problem where for young men, they're either struggling to date because younger women can date older guys through dating apps, or women, why buy the cow when you get the milk for free? If you know what I mean.
Like you can have sex without like commitment.
These guys who are young are like, I don't need a job, I don't need status, because if I go to the club and spend $15 on booze, I get laid.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I just think that like this is like the trade-off of agency, right? Like agency is one of the most important things that we can have, the ability to choose, right? Because if you don't have agency, you can't choose to do noble and good things. You can't choose to do bad things. And so I would agree that like when I look at the modern dating culture, first of all, the 24-year-old girls are not like, I'm so ready to settle down and have kids.
Right.
They're like, these are the people you're calling whores half the time, right? And so
They used to be.
Yeah,
People used to get married and have kids at 22.
Sure, but we also died at 55 around the same time.
No, we didn't.
Yeah.
That is not correct.
Yeah.
We did have a lower life
that is
We
that is
had
not
a
correct.
much shorter life
The shorter life
expectancy.
expectancy was due to the infant mortality rate. People actually who survived infancy would live for a very long time. But while people are lived expectancy,
Men were dying in mines.
They're not at 55.
No, men were dying in mines, and women were also dying in childbirth.
And while life expectancy has increased by a few years recently,
A lot.
that isn't changing the fact that society used to be very different. Women in pre-feminism were focused on families, and the big social deal was who are you going steady with and who you're having a family with. I'm not saying society should be that way, But when that's gone and women start prioritizing what job am I going to have, you're not going to have families at 22 like we used to anymore. And now we're in a fertility crisis and we've got no young people. Gen Alpha is only 40 million people. It is half the size of the millennials.
Sure. So to this, I would basically say I agree that there has been a lot of cons that have come with giving women agency. I think giving women agency is actually like a deontological good. Letting people choose means that they have the choice to choose the noble things. This is really, really important in Western society specifically. This is the foundation of what we believe in the American project. And so, yes, women back then didn't have as many choices. They couldn't own private property. They basically had to be married to a man to have any access or rights or power.
They couldn't have a credit card till the 80s.
Exactly, right? So women had
Better times, less debt.
Women had less agency. Women had less agency. But I would argue that that was a moral failing of society. And just because the outcomes right now might be worse, that doesn't necessarily mean that this is not something that we fundamentally value. We value in America giving people choice.
I hear that. I remember, last week we had this big debate on police, and I think the shortcomings for Michael Malice, which I respect the guy, he's a good friend, but he kept saying police were bad. And it sounded like all he was saying was, yes, there are big problems with police and there's no alternative, or the system will always be bad in some way, but there is a worse. So I look at this now and I'm like, okay, I agree to a certain degree on the deontological aspect of people should have free choice. You want to have a job, you can do it. You want to have finances, all that's fine. Is the end result then the Gen Alpha is 40 million and collapsing, and there won't be any humans in the future, or cities are going to start shrinking, infrastructure is going to start crumbling, and we're going to go, it was a moral good to make sure that we had this semblance of equality under the law, and then society was destroyed by it.
Well, equity of agency does mean bad outcomes sometimes. The issue is that I'm not opposed to people strongly.
Which proves that when women have agency, things go bad.
No, actually, when most people have agency, people make terrible choices, right? When we give young men free agency, what's the window where young men do the most crime? It's typically the ages where they get the most amount of agency. People, when they are given choice, often choose poorly, but that's not the reason we don't give them choice. Because if we don't give them choice, they are enslaved to correct action because of necessity. And that's not the world that we want to live in. We want people to choose the noble thing because they are choosing to do so.
Now, here's the thing.
Wait,
I see your perspective with agency. I see that, but we need to be honest with women. The problem is that we're not honest with women, right? We don't tell them, look, if you want to pursue a career, you want to make money, your chances of finding a guy down the road are going to be significantly harder. We don't tell them if you decide to be promiscuous now, it's going to cost you later on. We tell women they should be able to do whatever they want and not deal with consequences of their actions. In other words, go ahead and be on OnlyFans and you'll still find a guy that's 6'3", making $100,000 a month that's going to take you seriously. It's not going to happen.
Sure,
so we're not honest with women about what happens. And the reason why is because women don't really deal with the consequences of their bad decisions a lot of times until it's too late. At least with men, if I'm a loser, I have to deal with the consequences of being a loser. Women don't. We don't tell them the truth. Because financially, there's no incentive to tell women the truth because women are consumers. So we want to tell them what sounds good so they continue to consume.
Bro, real quick, it's like how Unilever owns Ben & Jerry's and they own Dove's Real Beauty campaign. It's like telling all these women, hey, you're beautiful if you're fat. By the way, here's our ice cream. Eat more of it.
Yeah. We don't tell women the truth, which is one of my biggest problems. Like, if we want to give them agency, that's fine. But at least let's let them know this is what your agency comes with. And if you decide to go down this road, this was going to happen. We don't tell women the truth, which is one of the biggest issues.
I'm totally with you, actually. So one of my biggest frustrations with feminism, as somebody who's defending feminism, which is funny because feminists really don't like me a lot of the time, is that I think that we have done a lot of infantilizing of women. I think that infantilizing of women was a form of sexism that came with low agency. And the issue is that women are being like, we want agency, but also baby us. And I think that that's a bad thing. The issue is that I have no issue with you saying, women, you should have a family. It's the thing that you will come to love the most. You should be more careful in who you're selecting. I don't have any issue with this. I have an issue with you taking away my rights because that takes away my agency.
Well, a lot of times we have to take your agency away so you make the right decisions. That's the problem.
Well,
and that's how it used to work for a very long time.
That's not meaningful.
Because when you leave women, well, here's the thing. When you leave women to their own devices, they make really bad decisions.
When you leave men to their own devices, they make bad decisions.
Look at the way society is now, where the nuclear family is crumbling. When you give women their own decisions, they make really bad decisions. This is why the father was so important, because we would keep our daughters off the strip poles and our sons out of jail. At least with men, however, when we do dumb shit, we deal with consequences. With
How
women,
many men are addicted to porn?
They don't deal with consequences.
How many men are addicted to porn?
Here's the thing, though. They're addicted to porn because you're right. But again, they deal with consequences for being fucking losers. Women don't. That's my point.
Women do,
because
they turn.
Okay.
Wait, hold on. Of course they do. You already said that if they go on and they have all this career and stuff, they're going to be less likely to find a man. That is the consequence of their choice.
But they don't find out till it's too late, is my point.
The issue is that most men who are addicted to porn don't discover how much it's fucking up their sex lives until they actually get a girlfriend and they can't inside their girlfriend. That's the issue with porn addiction.
Sure.
So
Wait,
typically,
hold on. Myron, you want to ban porn?
Do I? Man, it has a lot of. Dude, I'm very close to. Yeah,
he wants a nanny state, guys.
I think it needs to be regulated in a way. I think we need to regulate it.
You want to ban porn?
I think it's a problem.
No.
You don't. But what about all those problems you just named?
Again, I don't want to ban drugs, even though drugs cause addiction a lot of the time. I want people to make choices, and I want there to be off-ramps for bad choices as much as possible. But at the end of the day, I want people to make a noble choice. If I sit my kid down, hold on. If I sit my kid down and I say carrots or broccoli, and they choose carrots, I'm not going to be like, wow, my kid's picking healthy food. No, they were forced to the correct action by necessity. I don't want that
What if
society.
you had ice cream to that? What if you said broccoli, carrots, ice cream? What are they going to pick?
Now they have agency.
And what are they going to pick?
They're probably going to pick ice cream for a long
Fuck
time.
yeah, ice cream every time.
Yeah.
So
Until they get tummy aches
here's my
and then they
question.
stop.
This is not to agree or disagree, but it's a philosophical moral question. Yeah. You keep saying, yes, these bad things are going to happen, but we should be able to choose.
Yes.
If that system leads to the end of humanity, is it the right choice?
That system has led to America as it is today, and I think America.
No, that's not correct.
It
well,
absolutely
technically
is.
it is.
Hold on.
With all its crime and
well, what is
dysfunction.
Western civilization? Western civilization is Greek philosophy, it's Roman bureaucracy and law, and it is Christian theology. That's the foundations of Western society. And all of these systems value individualism. It values your ability to make choices, including bad choices.
So let me ask you: is it like it's nice to have your door open on a nice, cool summer night? You know,
Sure.
it feels good. And then at 3 a.m, one day a guy breaks into your house. Yes, you can mention that there are good systems that lead to comfortability and success, but eventually those can create security problems for your society, which creates the ebb and flow of security states.
Exactly, but
the
this is
problems
why-
are going to get so bad that more Myrons are going to start emerging because they're going to say, crime is way too high. Women keep voting for Democrats overwhelmingly, and whether the reason is that women vote for Democrats, that's what they identify, and then it's going to lead to some kind of social disorder and then an authoritarian shift.
Sure. So there's this.
Kamala would
I
be
wish
president right now if we had to rely on female votes. She would literally
Probably
be president right now.
Yeah. So
That's bad.
It'd be a Democrat supermajority across the country.
So there's this concept, I wish I could remember what it's called, but it's this idea how essentially sometimes the advocacy, the social advocacy itself prevents the bad thing from happening. So let me give an example. You guys are familiar with Jordan Peterson, Bill C-16. He was super worried about, are you guys familiar with this? So I don't have to summarize it. You guys are familiar with this? Great. Okay.
Yeah, he lost that, didn't he?
He did, but one of his arguments for why he was doing it is he was saying this might lead to some sort of authoritarian control on free speech. And a whole bunch of people, like, especially on my side, were like, you're so stupid. The issue is that it is very likely that his advocacy against C-16 is part of what informed Congress's interpretation of that bill to make it less authoritarian. I don't have an issue with you guys saying women should be more cautious. Women aren't being very smart. I don't have an issue with that. That's free speech. And that is some of the things that will probably offset the degradation of society that you're maybe worried about if I agree with your worldview. What I care about is taking away rights. That's it. That's my hard line. Don't take away the
once
rights.
again, let me ask you the question. If the system you have described leads to the end of humanity, was it a good system?
I would have to believe you that the American project will lead to the end of society. I just don't think it will.
The question is, let's try this again.
Sure.
If a system of open and free choice would ultimately lead to the end of civilization, human death and extinction, is it a good system?
Nope. But I don't think that that's the system that we have.
So at what point in the current trends would it get bad enough for you to believe we are on track for civilizational collapse? Could it be like fertility at 0.3 or 0.6?
No. That's tough because the fertility issue is way less about feminism and way more about our terrible food and our agriculture
I
sector.
disagree.
You guys just talked about E and testosterone. Like that's really bad for fertility.
Well, they do say that actually, I was saying that earlier about the microplastics. Men are to blame for the fertility issue too. They are.
You're swimming from hot goods.
By all means, we can mention that guys have gotten weaker and whinier, whatever you want to say. But the reality is, I won't make any excuses for it. I didn't have a family in my 20s. I just had a kid for the first time.
Congratulations.
Where was my generation, men and women, to be like, it is a social imperative to have a family now, sort it out. For all the young guys, men were told sexual liberation, you don't need to have a family, who cares, birth control and abortions in every major city. And now Gen Alpha, I don't think people realize how insane it is that the upcoming generation that are 15 years old at their oldest, There's only 40 million already. And actually, I'm a big fan of this part. Universities are shutting down. 18 years on from the financial collapse in 07, 08, people my age didn't have any kids. There are no 18-year-olds to go to university or to start jobs. And so companies are struggling to hire. Universities are shutting down. And this is just the beginning of fertility collapse. Now, if we had a society that told men, and I'm saying even with choice, they said to men, guys, you should strive to be the best, the strongest, the boss. Women, choose what you want, but social pressure is be a mom, have a family, help society continue. If that was the route we went and we still had social pressures on having kids, we wouldn't be in this fertility crisis.
I actually just agree with you. The issue is that I think the way for the government to manage it isn't to like take away women's right to vote. It would be things like child tax credits. Like, didn't the BBB actually include a really big child tax credit? One of the reasons why people don't have kids in a lot of like high income areas is because of wealth disparity. I mean, it's like $45,000 to give birth.
The principal reason is always cultural.
I agree.
So,
I agree. Right.
So we live in a society that needs to be saying, what do you mean you don't have kids? That's crazy. Instead, we live in a society where it's like, don't have kids, it's bad for the environment.
Sure, and we kind of hate kids, right? Like, there's a lot of families that move. It's just the argument would be like, I mean, to bring up the Jews, Israel.
Bring them up.
Israel,
my favorite topic.
Yeah, one of your favorite topics. But it's just to use a good example of a high-income country that actually has a really strong cultural value on family. They have fuckload of kids. Those people, they're all having lots and lots of kids, and they're meeting the replacement level. And so I'm not opposed. I agree with you. The idea that we told a bunch of young people, hey, remember how much the boomers sucked? You shouldn't have kids. Your life will be better. It turns out when everyone's dead and dying, everyone says the same thing. They wish they had more family connections and they wish they spent more time with them. So absolutely having kids matters, but make it more affordable, give them tax incentives, incentivize the behavior that we want to see and encourage it. But don't take away women's right to vote. That's not going to change anything.
Let me ask you a question. Do you think a system that cannot serve, like, I don't know how to ask this question, but if a system cannot survive, does it matter? In the long run, like there have been very few anarchist communes that have existed as forms of government, but like Catalonia, but they get crushed immediately by barbarians.
I don't know. Like, does Rome matter even though they got crushed? Yeah, I would say it does.
Yeah, Rome was an empire with
So is America.
Indeed. So I'm talking about anarchist systems that they don't function, they don't work. It's this idea, it emerges and immediately gets crushed.
Yes.
The point I'm making is,
nation states
right
matter.
now,
Yes.
there is I will point out the humor of the personal on stage, and that Myron doesn't have any kids.
Right.
And Kat does. And so Myron loses that genetic debate.
I'm waiting.
But
Oh,
if
aren't we all?
The end result of
Well,
this
I got
system,
time unlike you guys.
But so the end.
That's what everyone's saying.
Yeah,
one of the benefits.
Let me finish. Let me finish this point.
Yeah.
The end result is that liberals with these feminist sensibilities are less likely to have kids, more likely to abort, and shockingly more likely to surgically amputate the genitals of their children than conservatives who are less feminist and more traditional. Mm-hmm. You can do whatever the fuck you want on TV as long as that fertility trend continues, and it is happening. There's going to be a collapse of the feminist ideology, and conservatives will take over in 50 to 60 years because there are no liberals being born.
But the issue is that, like, typically conservatives' children go to school and then they're like, wait.
And universities are shutting down.
Sure.
And Trump is gutting the Department of Education. Conservatives are winning this battle. And I want to stress this.
Tim,
too.
but
I
aren't
wanna stress
liberals
real quick.
sluttier, though? Aren't they going to get
Perhaps,
pregnant?
But I want to stress this one point. I was talking to Kyla before the show. On the culture war, we may not have abject victory, but South Park has made fun of Donald Trump. Now, why? Is it because he's friends with Epstein? No. Is it because his tariff policy is bad? No. It's because he's gay and they called him a When South Park says to mainstream liberals, Trump is bad and it's because he's gay, and that's what they're making fun of, that's a cultural shift so far to the right, it is shocking in a short period of time.
I mean, I would just argue it's a shift towards the center. Like, most libertarians,
Sure.
and most, like, as an edgy liberal, I've always been for like free speech and language. I don't care if you call people like the F word.
And Gen Z guys are shifting rightward.
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z is the first generation in 100 years to begin shifting rightward.
Yep.
And I think a large reason, not the only reason, is fertility rates, which we saw in the 2000s among liberals at about 1.43 and conservatives 2.01, meaning in 18 years, there will be 20 or so % more conservatives than liberals based on who their parents teaching them.
Again, but that's assuming that these people like don't over time like shift back leftwards, right? And I think, if I could just respond a little bit.
I want to address that. Sorry for talking so much, but I do want to address that point because you mentioned it already about the universities.
Sure.
That's why I brought up South Park. The cultural shift is pronounced. The liberal woke stuff was shifted so rapidly in the course of a couple of years that when you mention universities and the cultural trends to pull conservative kids left, that's shifted dramatically.
I agree, but I think assuming something like the universities are going to go away, like the university institution has been around for like 2,000 years. I don't think universities are going away, and generally universities tend to trend left because people who are leftward are high openness to experience, so they tend to like things like learning and education, right? What I think is actually more important here is has the left failed to indoctrinate within its culture a value of children? I would just say, yeah, I think it has, right? But one thing that I would caution you towards, right, when you write this doomsday of feminism leading to the collapse and decay of all of society, when you look at cultural trends, they're always ebbing and flowing back and forth because one side starts winning the culture war and the political war. They get too much power. They become kind of assholes because a lot of us are assholes with power. And then the other side kind of populates and becomes more popular again, right? And we've seen this dance back and forth between left and right, winning the culture war and leading all the time. This is kind of what democracy is. In fact, that's the fundamentals of what democracy is. And so I don't think that we should be looking at feminism going, this is going to lead to the death and decay of society. We should go, what parts of it are bad? What parts of the institutions are bad? What things need to be corrected? And how do we correct them? Because so far, the miracle of the American project is pretty damn fucking good. It's actually the best thing that's ever happened in human history, probably ever. Okay?
Yeah,
we love America.
That's pretty nuanced. I think that's the correct answer. Give it up for notsoErudite. I think we can agree with that. That's pretty
It is a
nuanced.
good answer, but I do want to make one point that's going on right now with Washington, D.C. and it's not, Trump focuses on D.C., but Chicago, all these big cities.
Like the cities? Okay.
It's insane how disgusting and crime-ridden our cities have become. I mean, we saw a tent city on the way here, and there's two questions. Why does the city allow this? And I don't mean to forcefully remove people with no choice. You can make the liberal argument of why are they not trying to help these people to solve that problem, or the conservative argument, why are they allowing people to camp on their street? But let's.
Yeah, and we got to get to people. And one thing we didn't talk about, but one point I wanted to make earlier, the aspect of trans people taking taking over women's space, because you don't think that trans women are a threat to actual femininity or what? I mean,
I'm not
like
for
a
them.
trans person going into a woman's restroom. Like, isn't that against
I'm just for co-ed
feminism?
restrooms because if you've ever seen like men's bathrooms versus if you've ever travel, get a passport. I promise. In Europe, they have oftentimes co-ed bathrooms, and one of the best things about
Like nightclubs.
No, like on like public streets, like all through like Venice and stuff. I remember going to co-ed bathrooms in the UK, like in France, it was like totally normal. Surprise, France, yes, in France. And one thing that I would actually point out here is if you've ever seen the lines between like the male bathroom and the woman bathroom, it would be great if we were sharing the same space. Okay, we're having to get through the bathroom way fucking
I'm
fast.
actually, hold on, I'm
Because
sorry.
you guys-
I'm very passionate about this. Sometimes the woman's bathroom is fucking disgusting because women will not sit on the seat. If you could just sit, everyone could sit. They like hover over and they like it looks like they were hula hooping and pissing all over the place. It's disgusting. It could just be.
These guys really want you to know how
crazy.
dirty their bathrooms are.
Yeah, no, I'm sure they are, but you'd be if we could just sit, then we could all sit.
See, men are better at everything, even bathrooms.
We could all
Better at
sit.
everything, even
There was
bathrooms. They can't even pee correctly.
Well,
we give them
I
rights.
didn't say that, but
It's crazy.
Do you guys hear
Telling
this?
you guys.
There's a very funny
Prove my
story.
point.
Real quick, we're gonna go to the audience, but there was a really funny story where this woman was an Antarctic researcher complaining about sexism because she couldn't stand up and piss in Antarctica, and so she was insisting that the U.S. spend research the research grant money on building outhouses in the middle of Antarctica because it was sexist that men could unzip and release, and she couldn't. And she didn't think she didn't want to use one of those funnels.
They have the funnel, yeah, I know.
she should
Anyway,
just use the funnel.
My mom
Yeah,
used
it's
one
fine.
for years.
time.
We're not
All right.
spending money on outhouses.
Look, the penis tech is a good tech, I will say. That shit of spraying around, that's pretty cool.
All right, guys, this has been a good debate so
got
far.
one here, right?
Yeah, I got the list right here. Okay, guys, so what we're going to do is we're going to pick some names, and you're going to immediately haul ass to this side of the stage where I'm pointing. We're going to have a microphone. If you're good for a minute, we might bring you on stage. If you suck, we're going to make you sit down, okay? So even though the order...
Now you know what Alex thinks about you.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just going to be open and honest, guys. Ava Terry. Is Ava Terry here? Ava, come on
right
down.
here too. Look at this. Rapid response. All right, Ava, you got 1 minute.
Okay, it's Eva. Nice to see you guys. My first thing I would like to say is the man on the far left over here. What was your name again?
Myron?
Myron, yeah. I would just like to say that your rhetoric sounds exactly like third wave radical feminism, but for a man. And I was just wondering how you expect to solve a problem by doing the exact same thing that you think is the problem.
Well, because when men have monopoly of power, good things happen. When women have it, society
Come on up,
crumbles.
come
Come on up, Ava. That's good. She's smart. No, the other way. Just come this way. No, this
Yeah.
way.
I like
Come on
how
down.
I like
Oh,
that when
this is
she,
spicy. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's-
making fun of Myron.
Eva,
Myron.
give it up, Eva.
All right. Eva or Ava? Ava.
Like from Wall.
Hello.
Yeah,
How are you?
Is it
It's
is it
Eva, I fucked
Eva
it
or
up.
Igua?
Eva.
Eva. Okay.
So explain why Myron was wrong again.
She said I'm radical, basically.
Well, I just think that your rhetoric is exactly the same thing that you hate.
Okay.
And I was wondering how you think that's going to solve the problem. If women hating men is what has caused this problem in the first place, how is men hating women going to fix it?
Yeah, so it's not us hating you guys. It's just us realizing that you guys are not equal to us, and we have to be the custodians of women. We have to protect and provide for you guys. I'm actually very big into a traditional relationship where the man is the leader and protects and provides for his woman, and all she has to worry about is making sandwiches and taking care of the kids. And I think that's how society's thrived for a long time. So it's actually the contrary. I think men need to protect women from themselves a lot of the times, because I don't think women in positions of power leads to a great society.
So one other thing that you said earlier was that men being in power has led to a great history.
Yes.
Do you think that the history of men being in power is flawless?
No, there's always going to be flaws with human error in general.
So human error in general, that includes men and women. And why would women have more error than men?
Well, here's the thing. We don't have any matriarchies that have stood the test of time, really. Everything that's been successful has been a patriarchy. So, and
for
there's
beehives.
there's a bunch of beehives.
We're not
Fantastic.
bees, though. We're not
Of
bees.
course.
I hate stuff like that.
Except for bees.
Yeah, we're not bees.
wait.
Sorry, Ava. We're not bees.
Wait, but if we just granted your evolutionary argument of like development, yeah, patriarchies have been the most competitive, and now what we're seeing is that an egalitarian society that includes women in like the workforce and the right to vote are the most successful societies in modern. Like it seems like we've just continued to advance, and the next level of advancement is the inclusion of women.
No, I don't.
I don't know what to tell you. History disagrees.
No, again, feminism has led to so many problems with this whole egalitarianism because, again.
So Saudi Arabia is better than America.
I'm sorry?
Saudi Arabia is better than America. We're back here.
You are correct about that, but they have some things in better check
Interesting.
than we do when it comes to dealing with their women, right? But yes, to go back to what we're saying, I think a male-led society is going to fare off a lot better than a female-led society is my point. Everything is going to be prone to human error, but I think when men are in charge, there's going to be less error.
Do you... Okay. I would just say to that throughout history, you know, and you think about all of the major wars and everything, are we in a significantly different place on a world cultural scale than men-led societies?
I'm a little confused by your question. Are you saying, like, are we...
With women having the right to vote, has
Yeah.
that changed? Have there been more wars since women have been given the right to vote?
I think
mean-
yes.
Yeah,
In
I
the
mean,
United States? And without declaration of war.
yeah, are you saying, like, the United States? Yeah, you can make the argument, yeah. I mean, again, my thing is, I think that men are better than women in everything that matters, and I think men need to lead society, and I think women should be focusing on having children and families versus chasing a career. And if we are going to allow them to go ahead and chase a career, let's at least be honest with them and let them know that this is going to come with some very serious consequences that might lead to your long-term sorrow, sadness, antidepressant medication, etc. I just don't think that we're honest with women
Myron.
about where they stand.
Would you have children through an artificial womb?
No.
So,
If men
so
are so
you-
much better than women, then why are they failing so much at things like education and achieving like high status jobs? Why are women?
Because the
actually
education system
outcompeting?
is literally geared towards women.
So women have
sitting
been like
down and
more
being submissive
powerful.
and listening to someone lecture you.
I just
like,
I don't hold on.
you're-
Hold on.
Wait.
But hold on. Career-wise, most of the Fortune 500 companies are run by men.
I agree, but
Irrespective.
the issue is that like if men are so much better than women, then how are we in this position where like suddenly men are also like being like destroyed by society and crushed by them? Like we can't have these two mutually exclusive things at the same time. What I would actually argue is that men are stupid in a lot of stupid ways. You guys punch things, stop doing that. You guys masturbate all the time, stop doing that. Chill out.
Women
okay?
masturbate too.
Women, but a lot fucking less.
You guys have like
Bro, there's a whole
battery-powered
industry.
dildo.
Seriously,
I think you
there's
guys masturbate
billions
a lot.
to be made.
Nobody's
In
gonna
fact-
make the argument
in fact,
that porn
the
is more
WNBA is just become the dildo show.
Yes.
Sure.
More dildos in the WNBA.
Sure, but nobody would argue that women are actually consuming more porn than men. Porn is obviously dominantly male consumed, and male OnlyFans is mostly purchased for by Men, okay?
Yeah.
Sad men. Okay.
But I do want to stress this point.
Goddamn Jews.
There's an argument. There's an argument.
come
problem.
up. Submit your name, guys, if you want to talk to me.
Greater male variability hypothesis. There are a shitload of really shitty guys, but there's a smaller amount of substantially more successful, intelligent, and strong guys than women.
This is like the hypergamy argument.
No, it's the greater male variability
Oh,
hypothesis.
yeah. I would agree. Like when you look at like the extreme ends of genetics, right? Men tend to be the stupidest and the smartest, right? Like if you look at the lowest IQ individuals, sorry guys, it's men.
Guys.
But when you
Yeah,
look at the
that's
highest
dumb.
IQ individuals, it's also men, right? Women are a lot more stable in a lot of things, which is, I think, one of the things that, yes, stable. For example, their bell curve is more flattened, right? You're not going to get the extreme ends on either
let me
side,
ask you a question.
which is good for society.
Let me ask you a question. Is it better for society to be led by the smartest individuals?
Not always necessarily. This idea of
Sometimes
like
a stupider individual?
Well, no, like mostly virtuous. I want the society
No.
to be led
Irrespective
by...
of virtue, let's assume that we're aiming for virtuous people. Would we of the
we are.
virtuous people we've identified, we want the smartest of them, right?
Well, I want to answer
I
this
would
one.
just say we have
Well, because there's two parts of our brain. There's the logical part. There's the
Oh,
emotional part.
I got to ask this question.
He wants
it-
to appeal to my feelings too.
Let's say we've looked at the most virtuous people in the country.
Yeah.
Would we want to choose the smartest of them to be our leaders?
Assuming that they're like actually qualified, sure, I suppose. But
Okay, like
well,
aptitude. Let's say aptitude.
Yeah,
They're
sure. The
capable.
highest aptitude. I just think
Okay,
that for
the
the
em-
most part, when
the-
it comes to leadership, it's more about a prerequisite, which is a really high prerequisite. But then after that,
my
humans
point
actually
is,
exist. Sure.
When you look at Fortune 500 companies, with or without feminism, the only way to get parity of female leaders is through force.
I don't
is
want
through
parity.
social force.
I don't want parity.
I'm not
Like
saying you do.
DEI is what
I'm just
you're
making this point that with the greater male variability hypothesis, you are going to see most world leaders will always be men. Most CEOs will always be men. The top physical performers will be men. And
Most
it's
of the
because
homeless
there's-
will be men. Most of the drug
but
addicted
that's
and
the
most
point
of
I'm
the
making.
criminals will also be
Indeed,
men.
the
Yeah.
point I'm making is there are very, very few positions of power and authority, and because there are going to be there's a greater male variability and aptitude,
Sure.
you will always see these positions dominated by men. However, modern feminism, especially throughout the past 80 years or so, always has said it's a patriarchy run by men. No, it's a system run by those most capable that happen to be men.
Well, I want to make this argument, though, and it's an oversimplification, but basically our brain has two hemispheres, a right and left, and there's one that they consider more emotional and one that's more logical, and that they say men use the logical side and women use the emotional side more. And I would argue that if you're more emotionally intelligent, that could make up for your logical intelligence. So even though you're not like a brainiac, a woman that has smart emotional intelligence can be just as successful. You don't agree?
Trying to open your phone.
I know, God, I'm just saying, you don't agree that how that can, or I guess Myron, I mean, you don't think that that can overcome for logical intelligence, emotional intelligence?
That's not a thing.
Well,
That is a thing. That is a
There's
thing.
emotional stability and rationality.
There's
but
emotional intelligence. That's a real thing. Yeah, because it makes it like when somebody provokes you, whether you react. Men are more reactionary. Women are less reactionary. So the emotional part of your brain is actually very important. Even when you're driving, like if you get mad in road rage, like
That's
yeah.
just more greater male variability of stuff. Like the guys who are going to be the best are going to be calm, reasoned, and the same thing is true for women. But there will be more men than women.
But on average, women are more reasonable than men because they use
Agreeable.
Agreeable, whatever you want to say. I'm just saying.
I would
Agreeable
just-
is really, really important when you predict for people who are like rising to the top of like organizing people. Agreeability and the ability to work with others is an essential part, particularly of our modern like economy.
I disagree. That's how you get a bunch of yes men circle jerking each other.
No, not at all.
Oh,
Being
yeah.
agreeable doesn't mean that you don't have boundaries, right? Being agreeable means that you can like see what the priorities are and you can try to work together and find cohesiveness. I don't know what to tell you when it comes to like some of the best managers and some of the best like high senior VPs. The reality is that agreeableness predicts really strongly for this. The only people where disagreeableness predicts is typically for the CEO. But again, I don't have an issue with like men being CEOs necessarily.
Right, I would just like to say, so I'm not for like the infantilization of women in any capacity. Whether that's women, I just would like it to be a level playing field in terms of some women will go out and be successful and have very successful, high-earning careers, such as myself, and but without needing to be like calling my dad to ask if I can fuck a guy or whatever it is that Myron wants. Either side of that infantilization, I'm against. I'm a human being
Be better
with
off.
agency.
if you ask your dad.
If I ask my dad,
yeah,
so
you'd be
because you
better
said that before, right? Like mating decisions. So should I call my dad and ask if I can fuck, or should I just call my dad and ask if he has to pull out?
Well, my thing is you should be calling your dad. Well, You just expose yourself as a 304, but that's fine. I mean, I think you should be.
That's okay. You can sit and call a married woman with a child a hoe. That says a lot more about you than it does about me, babe.
Well, you're the one making crass jokes, so I'm jumping in with you. So the point is that I think the father should actually be involved.
Calling me
I think
a hoe.
I think the father should be involved actually in the mating process with a woman. I think the dad should actually be intimately involved with picking the guy, because when women are left to their own devices,
can I fuck?
That is kind of weird. All right, guys.
Hey, Dad, should he pull out?
Does he like hold your hand while you do it?
That's the future you want.
Is he pushing his asses a little bit more to help?
Here we go. She's
next?
not even going to let me speak.
Go. Myron's gonna have a daughter, and his whole show's gonna shift. He's gonna be a raging liberal.
I want to say one thing to Kat, though. Kat.
No daughter.
Well, I do want to say, though, that you are a female comedian, very successful in a male-dominated industry.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you give a lot of credit to having a strong father?
I give a credit to having a strong father every single day. I talk to my dad every day. I am so grateful to have the father that I have. And I think that men that are as wonderful as my father deserve all the credit in the world.
Is he funny?
He is funny.
I got a real funny.
And I agree. I think that's a lot of, even in like the black community, obviously I think it's a lot of the broken home situations, Myron, that there's actually a lot of examples where black guys have both parents there and they're incredibly successful. So I think that, the way that people are brought up, the patriarchy or whatever you want to call it, is very important to their,
Well, yeah, I've always said
isn't-
that strong dads keep daughters off sure poles and sons out of jail. It's very important.
But isn't part of the issue that we're outlining here that you're saying is that society doesn't have empathy towards men, which I would actually just agree with. There's really good research on this, actually. If you look at like the age at which we view boys becoming men, it almost completely overlaps with the spike of suicide rates amongst young boys, which is about the age of 14. So I would actually wholly agree with you that society doesn't have like empathy for men in any way, shape, or form, right? And we have this kind of weird infantilized empathy for women that I think is actually harmful to them in a lot of ways because it robs them of a lot of their agency. But when you're saying like it's women that don't have empathy for men, I feel like you're actually missing like 50% of the pie. When it's society, nobody cares about men. They don't care that you're struggling. They don't care that you're lonely. They think your tears are gross. And I think that that's a horrible state. But I don't think this is a woman-driven thing. This is a societal issue.
I want to say this point to the infantilization of women. I think that it's very obvious, though, that women's social power only goes down with age as men's go up.
Yep.
So it's directly inverse. So you would want to infantilize a woman because her value is more when she's younger. So she would want to skew and tend to be more young. I mean,
sure,
isn't that right?
I think we should only infantilize children. I don't think
I'm
adults.
not pro, but I'm saying
I don't like infantilizing adults. I understand why. I think you're right as to like why we oftentimes like systemically infantilize women more. I just think it's harmful to both women and to men because it leads to this like really weird disjunct where if a woman is like sexually aggressive with a man, people are like, oh, he probably loved it. But if a man does the same thing towards the same age woman, we're all like, he's a monster. And I think that creates this disjoint of unparity that I think is harmful and devalues men in a way that I don't think is good.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not sitting here trying to feel sad, but I'm just saying, like, this is just the honest reality when it comes to, like, how women deal with men and how men deal with women. Like, men have to understand women, whereas women don't really have to understand men to be able to get the same access, right?
But if they understood women better, they'd probably have longer marriages and women would be leaving them less often, I'm assuming, right? Because women cite the same reasons over and over for why they end the marriages, even though I would argue to women, like there should probably be more
women end relationships a lot of times because they have this concept that they should always be happy, and that overrides duty to the family. So that's another reason too why women end marriages and relationships, because we tell women that their happiness overrides everything, and they'll be like, oh, you know what, I could do better. Like women have this perpetual, the grass is greener on the other side. I could do better. I can do better.
It's usually I could do better without. It's usually why they're leaving men. They don't say I can find a new man who's better. They say I'd rather be single than fucking put up with this shit. That's usually why women leave men.
I have a stupid, uninformed hypothesis where I think women will average at a slight state of discontent relative to men. And the reason why I think that might be is that imagine there's two tribal, plains, savannah-dwelling humans, two tribes. And in one, the woman is always content with what is. So the guy comes back and says, hey, I caught us some fish. We have food for the day. And she goes, that's perfect. The other woman in the other tribe is, no matter what happens, she's always a little unhappy and demanding more of the man. So he says, I brought enough fish for food. And she goes, why am I only getting 2 fish? This is bullshit. I want 3 fish. And he goes, okay, I'll go get you more fish. Geez, calm down. One day, there's a famine. The woman who was always complaining has more and survives, and the woman who is content does not. It's not to dig on women. I'm saying that women are demanding of their men because they want to survive, and so they constantly expect more from men.
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to, like I've said this, women get mad at me when I say this, but like women are literally designed to extract value from men. Like that is what they're designed to do. We're designed to provide value. Their values, that what they do is extract value. This is why,
but you don't got to say it in such like a dick way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's the
Amber,
truth.
what do you have to say, Amber?
This is why women.
Well, you're
like,
asking
this
her
is
to
why we
commit
don't
18
care.
years of her life and to carry a body that is destructive to our body. Being able to bear a child is like
We understand.
annihilates our body.
But
Well, when you're
the
saying
point I'm trying
women,
to make is that women are literally designed to extract value from men.
But you're
This is why
narrativizing it
when
in a way that I
man-
think is
This is
unfair.
why when a woman makes more money than her man, she starts to think like, what the hell's going on here? Like women are not designed to provide long-term
but
provisioning to a man.
that's
They're just
only
not designed.
true. That's only true that when women earn more than their male partners, that it's a problem for the relationship. If the male has a very traditional view of masculinity, and she does too, the moment that you remove a traditional view of masculinity, where, for example, the woman goes like, I'm the breadwinner, and that's totally fine with me, suddenly the relationship's completely balanced out. The data is just robust in this. I
wanted to ask.
Yeah, it is. And also
Women don't do well when they're in
One last
leadership
thing,
roles.
Amber, then we're going to bring somebody
I
else
just
up.
wanted to ask.
It is also in my experience, I would say not every man could be with me. I think a lot of men have being with me
think that's
felt
pretty obvious.
emasculated. That's cute. Have felt emasculated by me. You could never handle me, Myron. That's obvious.
I wouldn't want
That's
to.
obvious. Oh,
Thank God.
And I would never either. I would never
God.
either. But my
sound like a
man
dude.
is very,
At least
very
she's not with black
masculine
guys, so
and
that's
very,
good.
very, very strong and able to be with.
Let's try and get Amber in.
All right.
Again, this
Broad
is
question
what he
for the
does.
group.
Sorry, okay, calm down.
I
I'm
want to
not
get
gay, and she acts like a
everyone's
guy.
opinion on this.
I had pushed a baby out of my vagina. That's about as feminine as you can get.
Well, men can't have babies.
But you
All right,
talk
Amber,
like a
Amber,
guy.
Amber.
And you have a deep voice.
All right,
so
all
much
right,
shit.
all right. Come on,
So
Amber.
I want to focus this one on third wave feminism specifically and what I think the underlying issue is, because I'm not Myron. I'm not arguing for women to not get the right to vote, etc. But if we look at third wave feminism, I think one of the distinct problems with it is that it's not that women shouldn't be considered equal to men. It's that third wave feminism pushed the message that men and women were the same.
Yeah, I hate third wave feminism. I mean, I'm a feminist, but I'm not pro third wave feminism.
Well,
I have a two-part question. For the feminists, do you think that a time 200 years ago, the way that feminism and females' roles in society, do you think that that was oppressive? Yes or no?
Yeah. I mean, before women had rights, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it was robbing of their agency.
Did
In
they
some ways.
have a particular role in the society
Yeah,
that
typically.
would not be able to exist back then?
I feel like I'm not understanding
sorry,
your
yeah.
question.
Yeah, I have no
Today.
idea. What the hell are you
I
talking
don't
about?
really
Let's
get
be-
me.
I feel like you're
give me
begging
the-
the question. Do you want to just make your point and then ask a
Yeah,
question?
yeah.
Like,
Okay.
what do you think
So
about this?
we have a lot of consumerism and technologies nowadays that I think enable feminism. Do you think that a time when they didn't have paper towels or a washer machine or all of these other things that women used to do, were they oppressed in that role, taking care of the house?
I like this question.
Yeah, I think
I do like this question.
I think essentially that when you like take away people's like political rights, you are robbing them of agency, which I think is inherently oppressive. I think stealing people's ability to make choices is bad. And most importantly, you can see this, for example, when you look at Spartan women versus Athenian women. Spartan women were actually like expected to manage the household because Spartans thought it was gay for men to like touch money, basically, which is funny. But Spartan women, as a result, were able to negotiate a lot more things like better wages, better like marital care, better maternity leave, whereas Athenian women were basically like rejected from society, and as a result, they were like entirely powerless. So yes, not having any political power or agency diminishes your ability and does create.
Well, let
a system
me
of
ask you to the
oppression.
point of the technology of it.
Sure.
Women of the 1800s, were they oppressed?
Broadly, the poor ones especially, yes. The like rich ones, yes, to a
Was it
lesser degree.
oppressive that they were expected to be doing womanly things, cleaning laundry? And
No, it was the robbing of the rights.
What- but-
it was that
can't
they
we
had
all-
no
yeah.
other choice to do anything else.
Can't we all agree that even since the beginning of time, women have had gender roles, different gender roles than men, though? I mean, is that
Women- men and women are not the
No, I'm
same.
saying I agree
Yeah.
with you. So that's from
So
the beginning of time we've known
this,
this.
the
The difference
point, which
is
is
men could choose cobbler or these sorts of things. Women were only allowed to have babies and
right.
make the house.
But the reason,
and that was basically
the
it.
reason why I think this is a good point actually is that firearms have greatly equalized power between men and women in a lot of ways. So if you were
Guns
a
are
woman in
feminist.
the 1800s, you weren't going to be a sheriff. right?
Yeah.
Because they didn't. I think it was until like the late 18. They didn't have cartridges until the late 1800s. So if you're late 1700s, it was not oppression. They said a woman can't be in this role. It was the physical impossibility of it.
It was both, right?
But the other thing too is
they would even say she like invented something. There was some superpower woman who could theoretically maintain the same jobs. But she wasn't allowed to.
But the issue is, you're not likely to see a woman, manually tilling fields with pickaxes.
That's not true. Actually, women were regularly doing farm labor. In fact, that was one of the main domicile areas.
Specifically tilling the fields.
Yes, they would.
Men were pulling these things before beasts of burden.
So were women. I don't know what to tell you there. This was just shared by the household.
You're making the argument that women were doing physical feats men were disproportionately doing those physical feats. But
no,
now
I'm
it's
making
not a
an
big deal
argument
to have
that
a
men
female
had
tractor
agency.
driver.
No, I said men had agency and women didn't. Right. My issue isn't that women had traditional gender roles. My issue is that women had no choice to be
heavy
anything
things
else.
and chopped lumber was not because they oppressed women.
I don't have a problem with that. I have an issue if women can't choose to do things like teaching or own
Men
real
did not
estate.
invent pickle jars to oppress women. They're just hard to open.
I don't know why you're running away from this argument.
Because now they have automatic pickle jar openers. You don't need men anymore.
There's nothing masculine about owning property, right? There's just nothing inherent.
That's
There's
what I'm talking
nothing. Well, that's what I'm talking about.
The point
So
he
engage with
made
me.
was with technological advancements allowing for women to not have to do these jobs is an oppression when they did. And I think it's an interesting point that men chop lumber because they have big upper bodies and heavy arms.
I never said I want women in the 1800s to
but
chop lumber.
But now that we have automatic lumber splitters, it's not a big deal to have women doing that job. They weren't oppressing women by saying, no, we're going to have a guy chop lumber.
I'll just state my opinion again because I don't think you're engaging with it. I'm not saying that women were oppressed in the 1800s because they weren't lumberjacks. I'm saying women were oppressed because they didn't have the option to be anything but homemakers and own private property. That's why they were oppressed.
I think she makes a good point.
Sure.
Okay, all right.
Women are followers, right? They're not really leaders. So if we culturally shame them being sluts or voting or any of that other stuff and say like, hey, you need to get back in the kitchen, education isn't great for you, I think they'd follow that. We don't need to force them to do it because women are followers.
So why do you want to repeal the 19th?
Yeah.
What was that?
Why do you want to repeal the 19th if you think social shame is effective enough?
Well, again, in that regard, we really got to make sure you guys can't vote. But yeah, other than that,
Why?
everything else can be
That's the
cultural.
question. That's the question. Why?
Yeah. So no, when it comes to voting, we just don't let them in. They're like, oh, I'm here to vote, LOL, and then tell them to go home.
Real quick,
you know what I mean?
question.
It's just simple. Like,
I don't want to take away the rights,
That's cute and all,
except for the
but
right to
go
vote.
back
Okay,
home.
that what I do.
Would you
go
guys
back to the kitchen?
Would you
But
guys
yeah,
agree
like,
that women should have to sign up for selective service, same as men?
That or nobody has to sign
Yeah,
up.
I don't
It's
believe
one
in
or the
draft
other.
at all.
So either remove it completely or women have to do it.
I think equity would be fine there, yeah.
you know,
okay.
I'll be honest, I don't think women should be in cops. I don't think they should be in the military. I don't think they should be
agree.
doing any of it.
He wants to take away
Like-
women's rights.
Yeah,
No,
I
I
just
think
don't think
women
they
should
do
be
anything.
cops
Hold on.
because they shoot people.
Hold on.
They get emotional.
Well, what
and
he
they
wants
shoot
to
you.
say is
This is
what he
my
wants to say
thing.
is there's
It's not
not
about
allowed
taking
no
women's
matter
rights.
what.
It's
Didn't you say
about I
women were
am
more
right.
reasonable?
You guys don't need to be in the military. You guys
It's
don't
not
be cops.
philosophy, it's
'Cause here's the
reality,
reality.
guys.
Whenever I see female, I used to work in law enforcement. Let me tell you something. All right,
Tell 'em.
you guys are fucking useless when it comes to anything that has to do with enforcement. I'll tell you why. They don't know how to do things tactically. They can barely go ahead and actually subdue a subject. So whenever I had women and I did an operation plan, I put these bitches on the perimeter because they can't effectively get into a fight and they put everyone else in danger. So when it comes to military, law enforcement, anything like that, I think women shouldn't be involved in those professions.
Just
They
have
should be
equal
only,
standards.
There's actually-
only in a
Just have
support
equal
role.
There's actually a very-
Only in a support role.
Myron's
and then I
right.
don't think and then with that said, since they're not in the military, they shouldn't have the right to vote. That should be left to the men. Because here's the other problem too: when you put women in the military, you put them in law enforcement, you effectively weaken the entire force for what? Their feelings, so they can feel equal. Get the fuck out
You're
of
only
here.
as strong as your weakest link. And there was just a female Houston cop that went and pulled a gun on a guy because the guy had cheated on her sister.
women do crimes and that's bad. The issue
I know,
is
but I
I'm
don't want
not
some
saying
female cop,
again. I'm
You're
not
more
saying
you're more
women
likely
should
to
be
get shot by a
cops.
female cop than a male cop. Way
Okay,
faster.
real quick. Hey, Jessica
disengage with the idea.
here. Jessica, I don't know how your handwriting shit. Jess, come on down, Jess.
There you go. That's easier.
What do you got, Myron?
No, I was just gonna say, like, I don't. While she waits,
But his answer is he doesn't just want to socially shame. He wants to steal rights.
anyone that's in the military or a police officer will tell you having female backup sucks.
Then make
But
sure that
to
the
be fair,
standards
guys,
are equal.
To be
Just make
fair,
sure the standards are equal.
I do want to point out the inherent sexism of the show. I did ask Myron to sit there because I said he could beat the shit out of anybody who fucked with him from the audience. Historically, 40% of men reproduced.
Of course.
And now it's 83.
83% of men now.
Men,
Not
no.
reproduced. The
83% don't reproduce.
Well, no. I'm sorry. As of the younger generation, sure, but historically, throughout thousands and thousands of years,
Of course.
the number was around 40.
Yeah.
Modern history, it's around 80. Of course, I understand Gen Z is
And here's the thing too: we had guardrails, right? Before, like, you know, you had the church, you had social shame, you had stigmas. with women behaving and acting in a way to, effectuate their hypergamy. But these guardrails are gone now. So like women can literally do whatever they want.
Well,
when you
part
leave
of
them
the
to their own
reason why
devices,
men-
they're going to pick the best guy.
Part of the reason why historically men weren't spreading their seed is they were dying in the mines and they were dying in war, because the way that society dealt with what we call like the young male syndrome, which is a real issue of young men that don't have mates, because typically young men don't actually get mates because you guys are immature and have to grow up a little bit. This has always been historically true. This is absolutely true. This is what wars fed, because a major issue in all nation states when they were beginning, you can go back to like the 700s, is the question of the young male issue. Young men are more violent, more aggressive, and stupid. And you guys often have to get shipped off to bad places. Now, I love the Western civilization where we don't do that to young men, because I think that's fucked up.
Yeah, we do.
No, we don't.
Well,
We
in
don't
China,
send
they
men.
abort
We are not
women,
killing off
so-
men in the numbers that were regulated in history. And I think that that's good.
Okay, sure, but we still have drafts and we still have war.
Sure, but the issue
it's
is
still
when you
largely
talk about
men.
like men aren't spreading their seed in history, it's because they were
Sure.
dying.
All right, real quick. Do you have one last thing, Jess, before you go? It's been 3 minutes. One last thing you want to say?
I'm a veteran.
I just want to. I want to add to that.
Make one point additionally, because I was talking about collectivism a moment ago, and I feel like with Myron saying like all men, all women, and just coming at your audience with that narrative, it leaves out the traditional view, kind of like Tim was saying, of I'm 23 and I meet someone and do this, and you grow with that person together. Like I was with my husband while I was going through college.
Yeah, that's great.
So
But I mean, but
it's
you're an
like
exception
that-
to the rule.
Okay. But when
exception.
well,
You have a selection bias, Myron. Your
23-year-old girls are not going to do that.
No, I'm sorry.
Like-
This is just not true. Like when you look at dating, typically women are going to date people within their economic and
Thank you,
within their
Jess.
economic
Give it
and
up
their
for
age
Jess.
bracket. The reason why your data.
Utsov, real quick. Utsov Sanduza or Sanduja.
The reason,
right, come on.
why
Down.
your show has such a bad selection bias is because most women don't want to go on to get like bullied by the audience forever. However, if you have an OnlyFans, you absolutely want to go on whatever and your show to promote it. So you
Counterpoint,
just do have a selection bias.
The women who tend to write articles for large publications are single and childless.
True.
And so the media that's going out to women at the more affluent level tends to be feminist childless.
I would actually argue most like third wave feminism underserved most women as well. In fact, it only benefited women like myself or maybe Kat who are like
feminism's
more up.
bad.
All right,
No,
Utsov,
just
what do you got for
do
us?
on.
Hold on, I got a counterpoint. That AI software company turned to be 700 Indians. I'm not, that's not a joke. That's true.
Again.
Honestly, I just don't care anymore, guys. You just are all jealous. I don't give a fuck.
I am jealous. I'm terrible at using my
I just don't
computer.
give
I
a
wish I
shit
knew how to use it
anymore,
better.
man. It just goes through me.
I have a question for you.
What's up?
Do you know how much money OpenAI made in this last like financial
Too much
year?
money.
Well,
They don't
do you
get
know how
taxed
much?
enough.
Okay, good response. Do you know how much though? I'm just curious.
No, I don't know, ma'am.
Okay, they made 20 million. Do you know how much they spent to afford their data centers and the electricity that's required for them?
A lot of R&D is put in. A lot of money.
28 billion.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They lost a lot of money. So this idea that like bots are going to replace us somewhat, there's always like with automation, we see like a shrinkage of like labor jobs. We saw this with farming and mining when we got tractors and shit like that, right? Which is bad for the
But how much has Uncle Sam put into OpenAI?
Sam Altman came
That's
out and
what I
said
wanna
that's
know.
absolutely
Probably
not
a
true.
lot.
This is what ChatGPT 5 is actually. What you have is it's a cheaper version of ChatGPT 4.0.
I'm going to disprove your argument because I ordered Chipotle and they got the order wrong. And DoorDash doesn't have a phone to call. It's a robot. And I called Chipotle on the phone and a robot answered and it literally said, there is no one who can answer the phone for you. And
we
I was
want
like,
your preets back and AI out. That's
get those
true. That's
AI
true.
out of there, man.
Yeah.
All right,
Clankers.
sit down. We love you, though. God bless.
Less
Yo, I love
H1B visas,
Israel.
less
Greatest
cheese.
ally.
Well, hi, we love you. We love it. Benjamin Netanyahu sent him. All right, Adam Irvin. Is Adam Irvin here? Come on down, Adam Irvin. Get your ass down here. I see him in the back. Come on down. Give it up for Adam Irvin. Give it up for Utsov. Thank you. We love our Indian brothers and sisters. This guy's
Keep
going
them over
slow.
there, though.
Yeah, I know.
Keep the deodorant Dodgers back over there.
They made zero.
They made
OpenAI made zero.
How much did they lose?
They lost $5 billion on $3.7 billion in revenue.
All right, what do you got for us, Adam?
Okay, so they, yeah.
$0.
They're in a deficit.
I
yeah.
just want to say that Jesus Christ is the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords. I think that everybody has a worldview and that everybody stands on that foundation. And when we all have opinions and so forth, it boils down to that foundation you're standing on. Meaning,
What was that?
Yep. Come on, keep going.
What I'm trying
thought
to
this
say
one through.
is that
Yeah.
to all your points, like to every single one of those points.
It all comes down to Jesus, right? Is that what you're saying?
Wait, were you the guy that was shouting the most? Who said you were going to come up?
No,
Oh, that
I
was
said
somebody over here.
what
Okay.
What I'm saying is that your foundation that you stand on is where you're going to line up with the way you conduct yourself in the world.
That's not true.
That's true. We've got all these atheists and one Christian. Okay, I'm the only one who's based and believes in Jesus. All of you, sinners.
I believe in Jesus.
Doesn't
but-
the Bible say that women should be silent and obey their husbands, though?
It does, but it also says, "Men, submit yourselves to women in the way that Christ died for the church." So.
Oh wow.
Ruh-roh. It does. Look it up.
Listen, we love Jesus Christ, but no, get down. Sit down.
Kyla, you were actually saying that you want women in the military for the draft. Myron, you were saying that you kind of don't want women in the military. So, Kyla, you say that you want them?
I said they either are part of the selective draft or they're not. It should be equal between men and women when it
So,
comes to voting.
if they were supposed to go into the draft, what exactly would you want them to do? Like, would you want them to be a nurse, a mechanic, or would you want them to be on the front lines in like combat roles?
I feel like you think that this is a crazy feminist gotcha. My answer is pretty nuanced. I want aptitude tests, and I want them to be in the spots that they would best serve the military.
Yeah, T-Bone, that's not a good gotcha. Go sit down, dude. That's not. Okay.
Nice try, though.
Do you think that women are going to be respected by these men leaders in Muslim countries?
You know what they're going to respect?
They don't even let women drive.
The F-15. That's what they're going to respect. So I'm not super worried about it. The American military is the most predominant thing on the planet, and the reality is that whoever is wearing the American name, they're going to respect because they should.
I think we got to be honest. Come on, like if Kamala tried to negotiate with Saudi Arabia, dude.
I don't know what to tell you.
Who
Who's the
invaded
major?
after she visited? Like, come on, man.
The reality is that like our economic ties are so strong with these countries and the military. Like, yeah, they'd probably like behind the scenes be like, man, fuck that bitch. She's a stupid woman. The issue is that it's still America that they have to negotiate with, and they're going to care.
No, not
Like,
just here, but I'm talking about other countries. There are many countries, there's 207 countries in the world, and a few of them are ran by women. But do you think the men in these Muslim countries are going to respect these women as leaders?
So again,
no, they're
well,
not.
now we have to be, wait.
It's clearly not.
Okay, so you just want to say no. Okay, well, if you want to have your
those
own
countries are
conversation
bad.
on a mic, go for it.
Barry, I would call you up, but you're Jewish, and I don't want Myron to kill you. So,
I'm an Italian
Are
Jew.
morally bad, and that's all that matters. 'Cause
True.
It's better to be morally right than factually correct.
True.
All right, go sit down. Supa, come on down. Supa, who is Supa here? Supa Fox. Does anybody know who the hell that is? It's,
Yeah, he's on his way.
All right, Supa, come on down.
I can see when I do this.
Is that your name?
Yeah, it's Supa
Yes, my
Fox.
name's Supa. How are you?
So Fox is your actual name?
Fox is my actual name.
He's a furry.
cool.
Don't judge.
And I'm sorry that I forgot your name.
Don't worry about
Kyla.
it.
Don't worry.
Kyla. That was a great joke that you had earlier where you had pointed out that it is actually gay to handle money. The Spartans
That
were
wasn't
right
a
about
joke.
that.
I was talking about Spartans and how they
Yes,
view it.
yes. The Spartans were right about that. It's gay to handle money. But it's
Okay.
not gay to wrestle your bro in Greece.
Oh, you talking about like
they did that.
I don't know what to tell you. Like Spartans would look at you and snap. What do you even look? Yeah, a Spartan would walk up to you, punch you in the
I
face,
know.
and snap you over his back. I don't know what you're being like. Oh, they're gay because they wrestle. I don't know what to tell you. They're the peak of masculinity. Get fucked.
It's called a joke.
Okay.
Bro, in Sparta, the only way for a guy to get a tombstone was to die.
in
And
battle.
the only way a woman could get a tombstone was to die in childbirth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, fuck you.
All great jokes.
All right, well, this isn't Sparta. Go
I
sit
did-
down.
What percent of women actually prefer to be submissive and dominated by men who are aggressive with them? That's an honest question.
I mean, it's not me. I don't know the statistics on that. I don't know if
Women are more subby-wubby than they are, but the issue is like being a sub is not the same thing as being like abused and berated.
I don't
Like,
know,
these
Bernie-
are not the same thing.
Bernie Sanders wrote about that, how women like to go home and fantasize about being raped.
They do, right? Like, and in the same way that like men like to fantasize about like fucking like magical like troll girls. Like, yes, we all fantasize about weird, stupid shit, right? The issue is that like, you know, in the case of like my marriage, okay, yeah, my husband is my leader and I respect him, but part of why I feel that way towards Nick is because he respects me, he cares about me. When we disagree and it comes to like who's going to be right, I know that like 9 times out of 10 he like has my best interest in mind. It's not just because he's like this male superior. And if you're like a lot of these men being like, yeah, men do need to
No,
toughen
he is
up.
superior.
But then you're also
because
like,
you're deferring to his authority. See, women don't want to acknowledge the fact that
You can
they
ask
want
him.
a guy that can tell them what to do and can make the decision. Women want to sit there and be like, oh, well, we're equal. But in reality, when push comes to shove, they want to be able to follow
well, the
your
issue,
lead.
Myron,
That's why I don't
is
listen
that
to women and what
I'm
they
able
gotta
to
say.
look at
They
the
don't know what
world
they're talking about.
and recognize that some people are good at some things and other people are good at other things. And both of these people have
Women
moral
suck
value.
at everything that matters.
That's not true.
They suck at
Have a
everything that
fucking
matters.
baby.
They-
Good luck.
That's the only thing you can you do, and you still need a man for that.
Oh, it's almost like raising a child is the most important thing for society. Haven't we been talking about declining birth rates and how important child rearing is? And now all of a sudden it's be like, oh, all they are good for is a womb.
For that.
Then buy a womb.
And anything where both men and women can compete and both of them can actually do it, men are better.
I would argue this, like for my marriage, it's I'm basically in charge of externalities. She's in charge of internality, like internal issues. So when it comes to what she needs for the baby, what she needs for the house, where we're going on vacation, who we're seeing for holidays, I just say, you know what, I have no idea. That's up to you. But when it comes to calling lawyers, dealing with bullshit, getting shit done, I'm gonna go and fight. I put on this. I'm gonna fight the grizzly bear if it shows up with my bare hands, and then die. You save the baby.
Yeah, you delegate authorities, but that's a part of being a man and being a leader. That's why, like, when a woman's in a leadership role, it's a problem for the relationship. It's probably not going to last. Women want a guy who's going to be assertive, dominant, taller, stronger, everything. They try to sit there and say, I'm equal to you, but they're really not. They're inferior, and they want to feel inferior.
I disagree, though. Like, I've been in a lot of relationships where we handle the conflicts.
Okay,
like,
where are those guys now?
Well, that's a problem with them.
Hold on.
That's a problem with them, not a problem with me.
The nuanced answer, the real answer is that probably 80% of people do prefer a gender traditional relationship, and that's totally fine. I have no issue with people wanting gender traditional relationships. The problem with your worldview is there's no space for anything else, and the reality is that non-gender traditional relationships just do exist and can flourish.
No, because I understand that women can't make their own decisions, so I have to do it for them. So you'll sit there and say, 80% is actually higher than that, because the reality is women are attracted to men that are better than them. That's how it is.
Now you have to fight with all of science and data.
My bad
You're
for
just
treating
wrong.
you guys how you want to be treated, which is inferior. The reality is that women think that they're going to have a higher status guy all to themselves. It just doesn't work that way most of the time.
That's not what women are. Women are dating in their socioeconomic status, in their age. Like, women are just dating people in their social space. I'm sorry, I don't know what to tell you. You guys are wrong. Just go look up the data. The reality is that women are dating people in their social sphere. This is why warm approaches are good and Tinder is AIDS. You shouldn't go on Tinder, by the way. But when you talk about who you're marrying, it's people in your social space with similar values and similar socioeconomic status.
This is why you never listen to women's dating. No one cares. The reality is
science is really spooky.
No, because here's the thing. A study's not going to replicate this. The reality is women have access to higher status guys via the internet, via Instagram, etc. So you might meet a girl.
Can replicate this. Literally walk me through the process of how a scientific study can't capture which socioeconomic status people are marrying within. Literally tell me the science that can't do it.
Marrying within and then having access to and dating, etc. are two different things. So what I'm trying to explain here is that regular women have access to above average men. A girl, a lot of the times, especially if she's attractive to some degree, has probably dated an NBA player or met with a celebrity or whatever.
What percentage of women do you think have met or dated an NBA player?
Women have way more sexual access to men than men have to women. So what I'm saying is that shapes the way they view men. That shapes how what they think they deserve. That shapes their worldview a lot of the times.
Thank you all for coming out here tonight. I'm up here from Atlanta, so I'm very glad I could make it up.
Thank you, Noah, for coming down.
With second wave feminism, women were encouraged to get jobs and have careers, and that's a great thing that they have that option. But due to that, the workforce was doubled overnight. That caused more workers competing for jobs, driving down overall wages. That led to the standard of dual income households, making it nearly impossible for a sole breadwinner to own a home or raise a family. Do y'all believe that, coupled with modern feminism not promoting long-term relationships or marriages, that it has all ultimately led to the economic struggles that we as young people are facing today?
Yes. No, absolutely not. And I'm so glad you brought up the economy. All right. Not only is it inevitable that women are going to enter the workforce, it was necessary because you have to compete as an economy at a global market. And it's very, very important that your GDP is globally competitive. If everyone else lets women enter into the workforce, which inevitably is going to happen if you're globally competing, increasing your labor product by 50% is an explosion when it comes to economic momentum, things like productivity. The reality is that women being in the workforce is a major part of what has led to the American predominance of the economy. It's just going to be a good thing.
Planes crashing.
It's not at the cost of your children. Your children have a higher quality of life than they've ever had. Why are you blaming women when you should be mad at... Just come up.
We can't hear you. Go grab the mic. If you have a point... Wait, do you have a point? Get up and go on the mic real quick. And then Taylor Lorenz's ex, come on down. You're going to be our last one. If you want to say something, get on the mic back there. We like a aggressive female like you.
We're
right, what do you have for us? Thank you, Noah. We love you, Noah. You made some great points.
We already said we don't like men.
All right, get on the mic.
I'm here because my husband, Eric McCartney, watches y'all show. I yell at him like, we need a date night, and he watches y'all shit. This is our fucking date night.
Yeah, the man's making the decisions, obviously.
Dead ass. I'm
That's
a
a man.
supportive woman. Okay? We've raised 9 children between us. Yours, mine, ours, and theirs. 3 biological. Okay? I understand what y'all saying. Yes, women, we deserve a right to go to work. We own our house because I worked hard enough to buy it myself. But we cannot be legally married because America no longer supports family fucking households.
Wait, sorry, you
If
can't.
you're married to your husband,
Why
guess
can't you
what?
be married?
You get less benefits.
Why can't
Wait,
no
so
matter
you're
how much
committing,
you work.
you're committing social
I
services
worked my
fraud?
ass off. My parents were crackheads and
You're
heroin
gonna go to
addicts.
jail, ma'am.
I was in foster care.
Millions of people
I
watch
worked
this
my
podcast.
ass off to get my house. I bought my house on my name, but guess what? My husband pays for it. Once I worked hard enough,
Okay,
I
mortgage
sat
fraud
there
is a
and now I'm
crime,
allowed to
and
take
we don't
care
need
of
to.
my kids.
I still. Why can't
You know
you be
what I
married?
mean?
I don't. No, I have no idea what
The
you mean.
system of welfare benefits
I know
favors
you
single
don't,
women.
because you're like a little cutesy bitch that's probably cat.
I don't know why you're so mad.
But I'm from Baltimore, bitch. I came from the bottom and I worked my way up.
That's awesome.
Give it up for her. All right, go sit down.
What true feminism is you find a man that you know
Okay, can I ask
will
you a
support
question?
you. You work hard enough to hold your own
Can
shit
I
down,
ask you
and
a
they're
question?
like, "Oh yes, bitch, I
Okay.
got you."
Okay,
That's
great.
what it boils down
why,
to.
Why is a competitive
sorry if you
GDP
don't get
important?
that. I'm sorry,
Okay.
I bumped you.
Why is a competitive GDP important for a country?
Huh?
Why is a competitive GDP important for a country?
This bitch is drunk.
You
She didn't know
wanna
shit
talk
about
all
GDP.
that shit, but that ain't real reality of America, honey. I'm an American.
I was literally asking the same question.
Let's see the green card first.
On your little thing. But
love
I'm
that
talking
argument.
about every
Graph go up.
American that works every.
It's not the
fucking
argument.
day.
All right, thank you so much.
It's
Thank you.
competitive.
Added a lot.
Graph go up.
Why?
Guys.
I'll ask you, Tim. If you're saying it's graph, it's not graph go up. I'm not saying just have a bigger GDP. I'm saying competitive. A competitive GDP. Why does that matter?
When you have no kids, it doesn't.
Why does it matter for a nation state to have a competitive GDP?
If you have no kids, it doesn't.
It absolutely does.
Not if you got no kids.
Yes, it does.
Your
We still have a
country won't
population
Okay,
of
real quick,
America.
guys, we're almost
We can
done.
import the
Taylor
third
the
world.
Rins. We wanted our one
Right.
transgender representative because we need that.
All right, Assassin's
before we
Creed, you
end
got
the
1
show.
minute.
As a center-right leaning transsexual myself, I am concerned about the mainstreaming of Islam and eventually Sharia law in this country. And to tie it back into today's theme, I would imagine feminists would have similar feelings. How does
I
this
agree.
conflict work itself out? I feel that the left is just using feminism and LGBT as disposable weapons, useful only when they align with their political goals. What do you all think?
Go sit down, Taylor. Don't land on your balls when you do. all right?
I think that is a really good point about how modern feminism is very deferential to Islam, which is weird.
Yeah, I agree. I'm extremely anti-Muslim. I think that like Islam is extremely oppressive to women, and I'm not a fan of it. And I actually agree. I think it's an area that's third wave neglected. Fourth wave is actually a lot more attentive to it.
Yeah, feminism is mostly bad. We agree.
Is what?
What?
I just didn't hear you. All right.
Well, guys, give it up for yourselves. Thank you guys for being here this evening. Now, before we end, Angela, you go first. Say where people can find you and how they can support you.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm at Angela Bel Camino on X, TikTok, Instagram, all that jazz. Thanks, guys, for having me.
Myron Gaines X on everything, Rumble, YouTube, Kick, etc. And Fresh and Fit Podcast, as you guys know. Go live every day, and yeah.
I'm Primetime Pimp on a Blimp. Thank you guys for being here. We're going to do some more of these. These wouldn't be possible without you guys, so thank you guys for being here.
Thank you guys for hosting me. Thank you guys for being so gracious as to bring me here. Not so erudite everywhere. YouTube, Twitter. You can fight with me there. You all had big opinions, so come fight with me.
Yeah, I'm Kat. Thank you all. Kat Timpf on everything, and yeah, can't wait to hear from all you guys. Thank you.
All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming out to our third Culture War Live. We have many more in the works. We are planning them out. We will set them up. Who knows where we'll be? Maybe New York, maybe DC, maybe Florida. We'll figure it out. You guys can follow me on X and Instagram at TimCast. Stay tuned. More to come throughout the day, and we'll see y'all next time.
Peace.